Hey everyone, Tony D and Little Joan here with a hot take. We're going to take a look at the footage of Joe Biden talking to Michigan auto workers. This is from the Washington Examiner. They put up the footage. It's about a minute and a half long, and it is again more evidence that Biden might be losing it. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. If you like politics, check out Wokistan, a novel, one of my books, co-written by Christian Baranek, and it is available at Amazon.com along with the Pineys, and it's ebooks, trade paperbacks, Kindle Unlimited is free. We have 3 books for the Piney. Book 4 coming soon. I just got the cover today from the artist. It looks so sweet. Also, if you like artists, check out the Webcomic Factory. I write a bunch of webcomics. Sometimes Christian writes some of those as well. It's at thewebcomicfactory.com, celebrating 10 years of webcomics. There's 10 years worth of webcomics. We post at least one a day. So that's over 3,000 webcomics there, like 3,600, over 3,600, probably 4,000 webcomics or something like that. You can look at tons of stuff. All right. So Joe Biden. Look how old he looks. He's in the middle of all these auto workers. He should not be there. With this coronavirus, he should not be this close in a crowd of people. This is bad for him. He's too old, and he's already losing it. I think it's a bad move. I understand why he's doing it, but it's a bad move. Now this is kind of hard to hear, so I'll try to translate it. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it all.
And you are actively trying to diminish your Second Amendment right and take away our gun.
You're full of shit.
He just said you're full of S, and basically the guy's confronting him about his views on guns. Now, in case you don't know it, Biden has some pretty extreme views on guns and gun control. He wants a ton of gun control. He wants to take away tons of guns.
I support the Second Amendment. Second Amendment, just like right now, if you yell fire, that's not free speech.
He said, I support the Second Amendment. Just like right now, if you yell fire, that's not free speech. I don't know what he's saying. I think he's trying to make an analogy, but his brain isn't processing it right, and it's definitely not coming out of his mouth.
From the very beginning, I have a shotgun, I have a 20 gauge, a 12 gauge, my son's hunt. Guess what? You're not allowed to own any weapon. I'm not.
He said he went to rattle on a bunch of or list a bunch of guns that him and his family has, and that is his son's hunt. But then he turned to him and he said, and he didn't mean to say this, but he said, "You're not allowed to have any weapons."
I'm taking your gun away at all.
And I'm not taking your gun away at all. You just said I'm not allowed to have any weapons, Joe.
You need 100 rounds.
So when you were in veto and you said you're going to take our guns,
I did not say that. That's not true. I did.
Now the guy's telling him he saw a viral video where he says you're going to take our guns away. There are plenty of videos of Biden saying, not they're going to take all the guns away, but that he's going to take certain guns away.
Not say that.
video.
It's a viral video like the other ones they're putting out that are simply a lie.
Your voice, you said that you're taking the guns.
Well, he just clarified it.
Wait.
You have to understand that the kind of draconian gun laws that Biden wants make the ones in New Jersey look like nothing. They basically want to define assault weapons as almost every single gun. It wouldn't just include automatics. It would include semi-automatics. It's such a broad range. The definition of guns, it would be so broad in policies that he would enact, there would be almost no guns you could own.
Take your AR-14s.
And he says we're going to take the AR-14s. It's the AR-15 is the one that keeps popping up. But that one really isn't as dangerous. For some reason, that has been targeted. I don't know why, and it's not the menacing. It's not a friggin' Gatling gun. It is a gun that can be modified, like a lot of these guns. But I mean, it's just ridiculous that he wants to take away guns. But he's never going to be president.
Hold
on. Hey, let's get
Don't tell me
moving.
anything, pal. I'm gonna go
There's a
outside
lot
with
of
you.
guys.
You're
A lot of guys
working for
wanted.
me, man.
I'm not working.
Thanks so much.
Now they're trying to diffuse the situation. Biden gets really mad. I mean, to tell a voter that you're full of S. I mean, look, that's just not good. You shouldn't be doing that. And he said, "You work for me, man." And then, like, you know, one of his union buddies is trying to, like, all right, let's calm down.
Don't be such a
You're
worry
pushing up
guy.
on me.
Hey, there's a lot of
Hey, look, here's the
Go
deal.
ahead, go.
Here's the deal. Are you able to own a machine gun?
You know, I think back in the day, Biden, he's a fairly big guy, you know, fairly tall, you know, pretty athletic. You know, he would use his height and presence to kind of intimidate people. So yeah, don't get in my face, buddy, kind of deal. And now that he's an older guy and he's looking frailer and frailer every day, he can't do that. It just doesn't work. And he doesn't have the skills to say, you know, a guy who comes up to you like that, he's clearly got an agenda. He's clearly mad. And you got to go, okay, all right, look, you and I aren't going to agree on gun legislation, but blah, blah, blah. Like, you got to just acknowledge that you're not going to agree. This guy, you know, he's a gun rights guy. He's probably like me, like a libertarian type. And he wants very few restrictions on guns, and Biden wants a ton of them. And Biden should just admit that and move on, because there's no way he's going to get this guy on his side.
I said, are you able to own one? Under the law.
Machine guns are illegal.
That's right. So AR-15's illegal.
How was that in a machine gun?
No, it's not.
Semi-automatic.
Yeah, do you need 100 rounds? Do you need 100 rounds?
That's in America with handguns.
And his eyes are just like bugging out of his head. Do you need 100 rounds? Do you need 100 rounds? That's really not the issue. I don't want to get into a whole gun thing right now. But, you know, Biden's not going to win this on the floor of, and these are auto workers, right? I mean, granted, this guy brought it in, but this is what happens when you walk on a crowd and you do some crowd work. Biden is not ready. I mean, look at his eyes. He's like bugging.
And there are what you call assault rifles. Why are you advocating for assault rifles when people are buying the handguns?
Oh, now he just ignores him. They just cut him right out. Oh, Aaron, let me give Washington. There you are, Washington Examiner. I'm using your footage. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, what he wasn't going to win that argument. He wasn't going to win it. And to just move on and have another guy cut him out. I mean, clearly the auto worker knew his stuff about guns. You know, an AR-15 is not an assault rifle. You know. It's not in the same classification, okay? And again, I don't want to get into a big thing about guns. I really don't. You either believe in the Second Amendment or you don't. And, you know, federal regulation is really the problem. You know, nobody argues that if you go into, I don't know, say a bar or a hotel, you know, even in the Wild West, you had to check your guns at the door. I mean, people are fine with that kind of stuff. In a private setting, it's not the government disarming you. It's just, you know, if you're going into a private setting, you know, you had to check in your guns in a nightclub or someplace like that. I'd have no problem with that, because that's a nightclub and they would take responsibility for it. They'd give you a little tag and you can get your gun back when you leave and whatever. It's the government. When they do it, it spirals into something much uglier. They track you. They you know, they know that you have it, and then they come for you when, you know, somebody's shot by a certain type of gun. I'll tell you one story. It's just unbelievable to me. Someone close to the family, I don't want to say who, but their son, who was a police officer, I think he still is. He was having some troubles, and they decided to confiscate his weapons. And his father, who's a hunter and owns a bunch of guns, they ended up impounding his weapons as well. Like, granted, his son was, they were worried about his son, and that's why they took his weapons, but to take the weapons of somebody else, like even his father, that was just an outrage. And it took forever for him to get the guns back. It was just ridiculous. To confiscate somebody's weapons who aren't even directly involved in, and it wasn't even a crime, really. I mean, it was very complicated. I definitely don't want to go into that story, but, the fact that, cops could just show up and confiscate your guns, I mean, it's kind of an outrage. You need guns for home protection. You need them for lots of things. You need them for hunting. You need them for, in case the government goes crazy. I mean, you look at a lot of leftists right now who are very pro-gun control. They're all about like getting Donald Trump out and that, he might be president for life. Yeah, you see why you need guns? If Donald Trump does declare himself president for life, you might need to start a violent revolution. Not that I'm advocating for that or anything like that. I'm just speculating. It's not going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. Disclaimer, disclaimer, disavow, disavow. But, this is the reason you have guns. It's so the government doesn't get all up in your face. You think they shoot a lot of people now? The cops, they'd shoot a lot more if they knew you were disarmed. So, and that's not to say cops are bad and blah, blah, blah. Disclaimer, disclaimer, disavow, disavow. But things happen. People, they get ahead of themselves when they get too much power. So there's a balance of power. And yeah, it can get out of whack and people get hurt and blah, blah, blah. But Biden is clearly not handling this well. This is an important issue. He should know his stance and he should be able to articulate it clearly. And he shouldn't get all bug-eyed and angry on the floor of an auto worker's place or car manufacturer, wherever the hell that is. I mean, the fact that there are even auto workers back in Michigan, I mean, that's mostly on Trump, isn't it? He's got auto workers coming back to Michigan, or plants being built. So, Biden just doesn't stand a chance. I don't know why he's in this. The guy's so old. He looks so frail, and you got to wonder why someone that old and that rich would put himself through this, especially with the coronavirus running around.